What's up guys, SuperSaf here, and today it's the battle of the pros. We've got the OnePlus 7 Pro, which has just been announced, and the Huawei P30 Pro. One thing I can definitely tell you is that I'm going to be saying the word Pro a lot in this video. Let's get straight to it. Now initially starting off with the build and design, both of these are very similar. We've got a metal frame with curved glass panels on the front and back. This is a design that we've seen for a few years from Samsung, and it looks like lots of the manufacturers are now adopting this. I quite like it. Some people I know prefer a flat display, but nevertheless, both do feel very, very premium. The P30 Pro does, however, have a bit more of a glossy finish compared to the matte finish of the OnePlus 7. It is also available in a couple more colors. And we've got an official IP68 water and dust resistance rating on the P30 Pro. This is something that we've not got on the 7 Pro. However, OnePlus have said that it should be fine for some splashes and things. And they did dip the OnePlus 7 Pro in a bucket of water, saying that instead of paying for an IP rating, they just paid for a bucket of water. That video got some mixed reactions, but nevertheless, it should be okay for a few splashes and things, but it's not got an official IP rating. Now for the size, although both are quite similar in size, the OnePlus 7 Pro is slightly larger overall. It also weighs a little bit more, and that is because it has a larger display. And I gotta say, OnePlus have done an epic job when it comes to the display. Not only do we have a higher screen to body ratio, with the P30 Pro you do have that notch, and the bezels are slightly larger compared to the OnePlus 7 Pro, which does not have any punch out or notch. Now, they've been able to achieve this because the front-facing camera is actually a motorized pop-up camera, which pops up whenever you need to use it. In terms of durability, of course, we're gonna have to do lots of testing. We're gonna have to see how this fares over time. You've also got a high resolution on the OnePlus 7 Pro, Quad HD Plus versus Full HD Plus on the P30 Pro. And it doesn't stop there. The OnePlus 7 Pro also has a 90 Hz refresh rate. So that's gonna mean things are gonna be super smooth on this display. It's the first OLED display with 90 Hz that's not a gaming phone. And I gotta say, it's very, very impressive. So although the Huawei P30 Pro display is not bad by any means, the OnePlus 7 Pro definitely gets the edge here. Moving on to the internals, the OnePlus 7 Pro is powered by Qualcomm's Snapdragon 855 chipset, whereas the P30 Pro is powered by Huawei's Kirin 980 chipset. Now, both of these are going to be super fast, and in my experience, they've both been very, very good. However, the OnePlus 7 Pro does come with an additional option of 12 gigabytes of RAM, whereas the P30 Pro has a max of 8 gigabytes. Also on top of that, the OnePlus 7 Pro also uses UFS 3.0 storage, which is much faster compared to what we've got on the Huawei P30 Pro. So based on these additional features, the edge for speed and performance would have to go to the OnePlus 7 Pro, but generally speaking, both of these are going to be absolutely fine. For storage size, the P30 Pro does get the advantage. You can get up to 512 gigabytes of onboard storage, whereas the OnePlus 7 Pro, you can get a max of 256. Now, the P30 Pro also has expandable storage, so it's a nano SD card, so it's not your standard micro SD card, but nevertheless, you can expand the storage on the P30 Pro. This is something you can't do on the OnePlus 7 Pro. Moving on to the rear-facing cameras, the OnePlus 7 Pro has a triple rear-facing camera setup. The Huawei P30 Pro has a triple plus a depth sensor. You can call it an additional camera, so you could say it's a quad camera setup, but realistically speaking, it is 3 cameras with a time of flight sensor, which is going to measure depth information. You do have quite high resolutions on both, 48 megapixels on the 7 Pro, and on the P30 Pro, 40 megapixels, but realistically speaking, chances are 99% of the time you're going to be shooting at around 12 megapixels, because at 48 or 40 megapixels, you're not going to be getting all that software processing, and by default, both of these are set to around 10 to 12 megapixels anyway. Having said that, the P30 Pro does use a super spectrum sensor. Now, this is red, yellow, and blue rather than the traditional red, green, and blue, and that does let in a lot more light. And I have to say, from experience, the P30 Pro has been the best low light camera that I've tested so far. Both devices also have an ultra wide camera, so you're going to be able to get a lot more into your shots with these cameras. The P30 Pro does have a high resolution for that. And then we've got the telephoto camera. So the OnePlus 7 Pro, you've got up to 3 times optical zoom. On the Huawei P30 Pro, you've got up to 5 times optical zoom. You can extend that and get up to 10 times hybrid zoom. And I gotta say, when it does come to zoom, the P30 Pro is one of the best out there. We will have to put these side by side to see which one is better. So if you do want to see a SuperSaf style camera comparison between these two, then definitely let me know in the comments below. For the front-facing cameras, we've got 16 megapixels on the OnePlus 7 Pro. On the P30 Pro, we've got 32 megapixels. Now for software, you do have Android Pie on both of these. You've got Oxygen OS on the OnePlus 7 Pro, and you've got EMUI on the Huawei P30 Pro. Now, personally speaking, I do prefer Oxygen OS a lot more compared to EMUI. I just find it's a lot more cleaner and easier to use. This once again is going to come down to your personal preference. Now, both devices have an in-display fingerprint sensor, and both of them work really well, and they're super fast. Both are optical in-display fingerprint sensors. Now, one of the things I do have to mention is that on the P30 Pro, you can just tap that area whenever, even when the device is on standby. But on the OnePlus 7 Pro, you do need to wake the device first. So you need to either lift it up and then tap here, or you need to tap to wake, or you need to press the standby button, whichever it is. But that's just something that I've noticed by using the OnePlus 7 Pro. I do prefer the always on fingerprint scanner on the Huawei P30 Pro. But nevertheless, both of them are very good. Now moving on to audio, neither of these devices have a 3.5mm jack. The OnePlus 7 Pro does, however, have stereo speakers. We've got one in the earpiece and one bottom firing. The P30 Pro only has a single bottom firing speaker. Now looking at the batteries, the P30 Pro has been an absolute battery champ, and it's also got a larger battery compared to the OnePlus 7 Pro. Now usage of course varies, and I will have to use the OnePlus 7 Pro for a longer period of time to see how well the battery is in comparison to the Huawei P30 Pro. And the Huawei P30 Pro also gets some advantages when it comes to charging, because firstly, you do have 40-watt wide charging, which is faster compared to the 30-watt warp charging that you've got on the OnePlus 7 Pro. And you've also got wireless charging as well as wireless reverse charging on the P30 Pro. These are two things that you don't have on the OnePlus 7 Pro. So overall, for the battery and charging, the P30 Pro does get the advantage here. And finally, let's talk about the price. The OnePlus 7 Pro is coming in cheaper compared to the Huawei P30 Pro. And for that, although you're going to be missing out on some features such as wireless charging, more optical zoom, and expandable memory, you are going to be getting a more superior display here on the OnePlus 7 Pro. And I do think the OnePlus 7 Pro is packing quite a bit of a punch. I wouldn't be surprised if the P30 Pro started dropping in price very soon. What do you guys think of the OnePlus 7 Pro and the Huawei P30 Pro? Which one would you pick? Definitely drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. We are going to be doing lots more coverage with the OnePlus 7 Pro here on the channel. So if you want to see all of those videos first, then be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss anything. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then do hit that thumbs up button for me. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV, and I'll see you next time.